Hello everyone and welcome back to your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Knowing Wheel returns episode 295 and today we are back talking about the Miami Grand Prix. Of course, as always, I am joined by our bravest little soldier, our little runner boy. It's Jamie183 and apparently, and I'm going to let you into a secret everybody, he told me pre-show he's got his medal ready to go to show off on the episode, so I had to bring it up instantly. Jamie183, talk us through your marathon.
Yeah, the real race review is my marathon on Sunday morning. It was fun. I'm glad I did it. It was actually a really good day. Incredibly hard. Very hot in Prague on Sunday morning. I wonder if any of our viewers are from the Czech Republic, or Czechia, sorry, how it's called now. Because that would be quite cool. But yes, I ran in 3 hours, 46 minutes and 45 seconds, which I was very, very pleased with. In classic marathon runner fashion, I set out too fast. I set a personal best 10k and a personal best half marathon, and then slowed down quite a lot in the second half. It was great, yeah. And
what was your first half marathon time, sorry?
My first half marathon was 1:46.
Okay, yeah, so there was a fair variation there.
So yeah, if I'd have repeated that twice, I'd have got a 1:32 overall.
3:32.
3:32, sorry, yeah.
So you just break the marathon. It goes under 2 hours last week.
I got the medal showing.
An hour
there
and
you
a
go.
half.
It's a very nice medal. If you turn it sideways, it looks a bit like the Transport for London logo. But I tried to think about that, and there you go. It's in the collection. It says all runners are beautiful, which is true, and including you, Matt, because I know you tend to run maybe once every 3 months.
I try and get out once a week. I also play football once a week.
Fair play. I tried to play football last night, and my legs are cooked. There is nothing I can do. I'm so done at the moment.
Here you go, Jamie. Czechia.
Oh yeah.
Across our entire Knowing Wheel channel history, has received 40 views. And on average, someone has clicked into the podcast for 50 seconds, which actually, around a lot of countries that have only ever clicked on it a handful of times, the watch time's pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Well, if you're from
Romania, shout out to Romania, the average watch time from there is 17 and a half minutes.
Wow.
Clearly,
I've been to Romania as well. I wonder if that was me when I was there.
When?
I was in Bucharest about a year ago for a stag do.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
We explored in the van and building. That was fun. And then...
Illegally, we should add.
Illegally. Well, we didn't get in trouble for it, so there you go.
That's fine. Yeah, I just could have gone on a really dark tangent then, but I won't actually. I'll be a good boy. No. But if you're from the Czechia, or you were in Prague at the weekend, then welcome to the show. I might have overtaken you. Did you go around with a Knowing Wheel banner?
No, I should have done, really.
Yeah.
You know what? I did meet a couple of strangers the weekend before who thought they knew me, and I'd never met them before.
Oh, right, okay.
And I wondered if they were viewers of the podcast, but they didn't say.
Or were they just a fan of the England team in the late 2000s?
Maybe they thought I'm a young Fabio Capello, as everyone seems to. Though not that young
No,
anymore.
none of us think you're a young Fabio Capello. You just think you are Fabio Capello.
Exactly. That's enough rambling for the day. My medal is not going around my neck because, honestly, people on the plane on Tuesday, this is, after the race on Sunday, had their medal on in their normal clothes. And I'm like, come on. I don't know. That's just not for me. Maybe if you do that, fair play, but I don't know.
Do you get any free perks in Prague on, like, the day? Because I know, like, the London Marathon, I think you get, like, free tube travel, don't you, and stuff?
Yeah, it's great in London. I've never done it in London. That's on the bucket list, but the ballot is a bit of a problem. Prague, you got some offers.
You'll get it at some point, surely.
Well, 1.3 million people applied for, like, 100,000 places this time.
Yeah, I think it's 80,000 or something, isn't it? Yeah, or 60,000.
Yeah, something like that. There were some offers that you got. There was like companies giving you like free stuff at the finish line.
Yeah, you double your odds, don't you, and things.
Yeah. The London one, you can pay 50 quid to double your odds. But if you lose, you don't get the money back.
No, exactly.
So I'm not doing that. I might just run for a charity next year and then sponsor it on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely if you wanted to do that. If you get in,
we will
need to
see.
Apply, though.
We will see. I've got a work charity that does London entries, so it should be possible.
There you go, Jamie183. Look at that. Right, Miami, Jamie, after our little tangent start. So obviously, I've already wished my congratulations to Jamie pre-show, but obviously let him know in the comments below that you do still love him. Or you've just skipped past all of that until we actually get into some proper F1 conversation. Obviously, Miami now, we're a bit late to the party on this one, so we're not going to do like a full Grand Prix review. So what we've actually done is come up with four questions that we kind of want to discuss over the course of the episode, or kind of talking points, because let's be fair, after quite a big break, Miami did serve as a bit of a reset. It really did serve for a couple of teams especially as a huge opportunity to try and get back kind of to where we would expect them to be. So it has kind of potentially changed the tone. Now, the first team I want to discuss then, Jamie, gotta be McLaren. We spoke about this after Suzuka, didn't we? That they kind of, I think, almost surprised themselves that they were a bit more competitive out at Suzuka a few weeks ago. Came to Miami. I think a lot of people would argue should have won the race.
Yeah,
definitely
I would
agree.
I would agree. I think Norris is obviously a bit of a Miami specialist, and he always does quite well there. Obviously, last year should have won if Max hadn't decided to have a vendetta against Norris and not Piastri. The year before,
he just messed it up against Piastri.
Well, Piastri just didn't get drawn into the battle, did he? Yeah. But anyway, Norris has always been very strong there. Obviously, got his debut win in 24 as well.
Hugely lucky. We always
a little bit lucky, but his pace was there.
So what we're saying is, had things gone slightly differently, Lando would still have not won a Miami Grand Prix.
Well, he's only still won one, hasn't he? And a sprint race, because he obviously won the sprint on Saturday as well here.
He certainly did, yeah.
Yeah, I think McLaren were very, very good. And Piastri looked a bit off it after we were giving a lot of praise from Suzuka, but qualifying especially, down in 7th, I believe, was not great, given that the car definitely had the pace for the front row, if not pole. I think Norris probably under-delivered slightly in qualifying as well. Yeah, they were very good, though. It was a fun weekend because Mercedes obviously put off their upgrades to Canada in a few weeks' time. So this was an opportunity for the others to kind of close that gap. And I think McLaren, I don't think they had the outright fastest car, but they were there or thereabouts with Mercedes, weren't they? I think.
I think this was a bit of strategy by Mercedes, isn't it? Because obviously we saw this kind of back through the first turbo hybrid regs as well, isn't it? Of if you're, Mercedes right at the front, you've got a bit of an advantage. The last thing you want to do is bring your upgrades before everybody else, have an insanely quicker car, and then risk getting nerfed. So you're always kind of better letting people catch you up and then trying to get away again. Yeah,
exactly. Because you feel like when Mercedes stick there's upgrades on, they'll probably take another step forward, won't they? And it'll be back to 1-2s.
You would think so. You would absolutely think so.
But yeah, I do think Norris should have won the race. Obviously, the start was a bit mental, but when the race settled down a bit, Norris was he was leading? It was ahead of Antonelli, wasn't he? Leclerc was leading after lap 1, but I think eventually Norris got through and then should have won the race, but they got undercut by Antonelli, who never gave them a chance. So fair play to Kimi Antonelli. I think he drove very, very well. Norris and McLaren will be disappointed to not have that race win chalked off after a 1-2 in the sprint, and dominant 1-2 in the sprint as well.
Yeah, no, and I think it's one of those things now, isn't it? Where, of course, McLaren are meant to be bringing more upgrades to Canada as well. I think a lot of people that were kind of going, oh, Mercedes is going to absolutely dominate this year. It's going to be so boring. Again, a lot of kind of the more blanket rules now in Formula 1 in terms of engines, and you have to give your customer teams exactly the same engine, everything like that. I think people do kind of underestimate how much of a difference that did make for Mercedes back in like 2014, 2016, that kind of era. Because, of course, you could easily be running an engine with 15 more horsepower and obviously have access to engine modes that might give you 25 more horsepower than any of your customer teams as well. So I do think that kind of blanket regulations have really helped this. And also the fact McLaren now, it's safe to say, again, have a very, very good team of personnel behind the scenes as well. They can absolutely build a car as quick as Mercedes can.
Oh yeah,
quicker, as they proved with the ground effect regs.
Yeah, if you look back to when they put the upgrade on in Austria and Silverstone in 2023, where they suddenly went from like 8th, 7th, 8th fastest.
Well, they brought the upgrade early on, didn't they? And then another big one.
Yeah, but they basically, since then, I would say every upgrade they've done to that car makes it considerably better, which isn't always the case.
Yeah, this is something we spoke about, wasn't it? I think towards the end of 2024, when McLaren kind of looked like the team to beat heading into 2025. It goes back to things like wind tunnel correlation and things like that, doesn't it? It feels like McLaren don't take a step the wrong way when it comes to upgrades. They kind of plan to do X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z is achieved. And there's no X, Y, and Z are achieved, but A is slightly different now, or something didn't quite correlate, or the upgrade didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to. In the same way we've seen with Mercedes, in the same way we see constantly with Ferrari, in the same way we've seen with Red Bull on a few occasions as well. McLaren just genuinely right now seem to, almost behind the scenes, be the best, most well-oiled machine.
I would say that, certainly
would that
on
be
car,
unfair? Okay.
certainly in car development and car design, I think definitely. The question for McLaren is, Norris is 49 points off the championship lead. Piastri is 57 points off the championship lead. Can they get back involved?
That is a very good question. A very, very good question, which I'm not going to answer until after Canada, I think. I understand, obviously, we want to kind of hype up. I mean, it's Miami. We've got to try and hype it up in some way or another. But I still want to wait, because Mercedes have done this so many times before, haven't they? Kind of throughout their other dominant eras of, if another team gets close, we'll find out for a second, or something like that. A bit further down the line. I really do wonder, though, whether at some point soon, if McLaren are really going to be in that fight, could it then start to be a bit of a thorn in Mercedes' side? Could there start being questions raised about, why is one of our customer teams still doing a better job than we are? Even because I think it was very, very easy, isn't it, to kind of blame the reg cycle, blame ground effects on why Mercedes struggled so much. But if McLaren can prove it again, and prove it comfortably, then some real questions are going to be raised. That brings us on nicely then, Jamie, to our second team that really did take a leap forward, or at least in some regards, but there were also some warning flags as well. That's got to be Red Bull, isn't it? Max Verstappen absolutely seemed back, or at least closer to the front, I should say. Isaac Hadjar, though, as we've seen in previous years with that second Red Bull seat, looked for the first time this campaign like it might be more of the same.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? And I think Max was surprised with how good the Red Bull was, I think, certainly in qualifying. And Hadjar just was not with it at all. No. And I want to see if this is going to be a pattern or just a one-off race where Hadjar was so poor, but he was a second off in qualifying of Max Verstappen. And obviously he still got into Q3, which is, fine. He probably would have got points had he not stacked it in about 6 laps. And it was a really poor mistake as well. That will not go down well. And you could tell he was frustrated with himself.
He's basically spent the whole weekend. You could see it kind of, because even from Friday night, wasn't it, after sprint qualifying, and he was like, I don't know how I'm so far off Max today, but obviously we'll come back tomorrow, and it just seemed more of the same. You could almost kind of see this bubbling up far too quickly.
Yeah.
Of just kind of got in his own head, and, for a lot of more experienced drivers, that spiral might take 3, 5, 6 Grand Prix. For Hadjar, it took 36 hours.
Yeah. And he was just overdriving from there on, and especially in the race with that kind of poor start he got and was behind Lindblad and a few of the other midfielders. He was overdriving and turned it too early and stacked it, and it was really, when Colapinto made this error for Williams back in the end of 24 in Vegas, it was a similar incident where you just turn in too early, misjudge it, and you're out the race. And he was beating the steering wheel for about a minute. I'm surprised his wrists are okay, to be honest. But, for Max, on that side of things, this is the first time this season when I've been like, okay, he does want to drive these cars. That's good. Although he wanted to drive these cars kind of into people in the race as soon as it got started.
Or even in the sprint.
What happened? Who did he crash into in the sprint?
Lewis.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did watch the sprint, but I've done a marathon since then, so I can't remember.
This is down at the hairpin where he came from miles back.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
tried to play the mind games afterwards, didn't he? Of like,
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
know
let
what?
Lewis back through, but I'm only
know
going
what?
to do it where I want to.
I did want to talk about this because it was a bit stupid, but I realized it was actually very clever from Verstappen. But it's immorally clever, which is what Verstappen kind of excels in. Because it was battle for like fourth or fifth, I think it was. You had
Yes,
Hamilton
yeah.
right behind one of the Mercedes cars, and Verstappen behind him. And obviously, when you're within that 1 second at the split, you get the overtake mode for the whole lap. So when it's overtake v overtake, it's quite hard to pass. So what Verstappen did,
A bit like when it used to be DRS versus DRS.
Exactly. Verstappen absolutely sends it, pulls off an illegal move on Hamilton, gives the place back within a lap, which is fine. But then by doing that, he's cost Hamilton overtake mode on the car ahead. So the following lap, Verstappen could just pass him properly. And it kind of makes me wonder, why do people not do that more often? Because as immoral as it is...
This was Kevin Magnussen, wasn't it? Back, I think it was 22 or 23 in Miami, wasn't it? Where he basically just did everything illegal to hold up Hamilton.
Yeah.
So that Hulkenberg could score a point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was great. But yeah, I genuinely think, as immoral as it is to just pull off an illegal move to cost someone DRS, or overtake mode, sorry, it's a legitimate tactic. Because if you give the place back, what can the FIA do? And obviously, there's some sporting integrity questions there, but Max does not really care about sporting integrity, as we've seen. So I wouldn't be surprised
Especially
if
when it comes to racing Lewis Hamilton.
Exactly.
He definitely, and I love the fact people still deny this, but he definitely races Lewis differently to anybody else.
Well, I think he
The
races
one
everyone a
that
bit
really-
differently.
The one that really always confuses me with Max, though, and I can't think of an example as to why still, but he seems to choke more around Leclerc. I don't know why he seems more nervous to drive around Charles. And it's never
on about
really...
lap
I
one of
wonder
the
if it's
Grand Prix?
Silverstone 2019.
Lap 1 of the Grand Prix,
That one of the Grand
was-
Prix as well, but in terms of just other battles he's had with Leclerc in the past, people go, "Oh, Max! Max is clearly a clean driver. And he can race well around Leclerc." He races so kind of risk off against Charles, and he always does this. And
Maybe
I
it's
don't
because-
get why.
he knows that Hamilton is clever, is a very intelligent driver. So if Max does go for one of these kind of banzai moves that isn't really going to happen, Lewis will see it coming and will get out of the way.
I think it's
effectively.
because Lewis, will avoid a crash because he knows.
Whereas
long
I don't
term
think
it's
Leclerc
more valuable.
would.
No,
And maybe Max
yeah.
Max knows that Leclerc maybe wouldn't, so isn't going to go for his crazy ones. I do think lap 1 of the Grand Prix was an obvious mistake, and it is frustrating me a little bit,
Yeah.
even as a Verstappen fan, where people are praising him for
Yeah,
spinning.
Brundle spent the next 10 laps going on about, "Oh, he's done so well, he binned it at turn 1. Like, what are you on about?"
And it credit to Max, it was very quick thinking to spin the car 360 and carry on in like 9th or something.
But that's just
it was still
instinct, isn't it?
it was still an error.
Yeah.
And
He was lucky
trying
not to get crashed into by anybody else behind.
Oh,
It was a miracle
hugely.
everybody else avoided him. And I guarantee if he'd flicked the car back round and someone went through the back of him, Brundle would not be banging on.
Well,
like
Romain
the
Grosjean did
genius
that.
is Max Verstappen for spinning at turn 2.
Spain 2018, where Grosjean
Yes, yeah,
put a smoke screen out trying to do the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was obviously an error. He was trying too hard to retain the lead. I thought the front row, Antelli and Verstappen, got pretty poor starts, or at least mid starts.
Yeah.
Verstappen obviously got the lead from Antonelli temporarily, but Leclerc was coming through. He should have just let Leclerc go. He was trying way too hard to beat
Oh, he
and
wanted
retain
to be
position.
the hero, didn't he?
But I think it's because he's been so far from the lead at any point this season, apart from the one lap that he led when he was on a different strategy somewhere. Then he was desperate to just get that race lead, and I just think.
But we saw the same thing last year, though, didn't we? Again, we're going to go back to the big example of Barcelona, isn't it? It's when Verstappen doesn't believe he's in a world championship fight. He just doesn't care anymore about playing any kind of intelligent game. And ultimately, as much as he likes to deny it at the end of last year, I'm adamant he will have gone to bed a few times thinking, I really shouldn't have done that against George at Spain.
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
But he cannot admit it. He cannot admit to it.
Well, he kind of
ever.
did admit it, didn't he, to Viaplay on the Dutch? He was like, yeah, it was an error, but McLaren had made so many errors as well. And like,
Yeah. I still don't think, though, he would ever go, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. And it is just kind of that whole thing of, I'm not in a championship fight. Let's be fair, for Max Verstappen, you got 4 world championships. If you finish 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th this year, it's not going to be remembered. No one's going to think about it. You're not going to go at the end of his career, he did really, really well in 21 through 24. But do you remember 2026 when he finished 6th in the world title? No one's going to care about it at the end of the day. But it just does mean he turns into more of a penis behind the wheel.
Especially against the midfield. He did not cover himself in glory against the midfield drivers this race.
Especially that move on Lawson that then become like, you need to let it play. Go, what?
Yeah, that wasn't great. And I'm surprised. I don't blame Max for VCarb letting him through, but it wasn't.
Well, Lawson didn't want to let him through.
No, I don't blame Lawson either. He shouldn't have. But there you go. I will say, he's getting clangers from everywhere. I don't think there were that many poor moves. The one on Sainz was overreacting about. I think that was kind of fine by the modern rules. It then made me
chuckle the fact he then cried about Albon trying to do the same thing to him as he would do to anybody else.
Yeah. What did you make of Colapinto versus Lewis Hamilton? We're really going on a scattergun approach.
I didn't actually see this on the live feed. Someone posted it afterwards. Did you see when Lewis then got past him?
Yeah.
Down the back straight, just gave him the bird.
Yeah.
It's one of those horrible things where I feel for Lewis and Fernando, because we've spoken about this so many times before, and I would guess actually it's happened a couple of times to Hülkenberg as well, because he is obviously the 3rd longest driver on the grid, isn't he? They are the 3 drivers on the grid that still, when they battle each other, can have a really good, clean battle, but just get absolutely shafted by the fact that the FIA, we've banged on about this for years and years and years, but the fact the FIA can't fix wheel-to-wheel racing, which there's so many simple things they could try and do to help it, of you have to get, if the car alongside you, if their front wheels are ahead of your rear wheels, you have to give them space. And it just screws over. I mean, Colapinto got wheel spin as well. That obviously meant there was bigger contact at an awkward spot for Lewis. And I knew basically from then he was destined to finish P7 because he'd still be quicker than every car behind him, but not as quick as all the other front runners. And there was nothing he could do.
To be honest, I think he was probably destined for P7 anyway, based on how the rest of the weekend went for Lewis Hamilton. But
well, he could have, especially with Leclerc's damage towards the end. I think he could have been in that fight. I think
he beat Leclerc.
Slowly. He did obviously with the penalties in the end, didn't he? But I think he could have been a lot closer. But of course, it basically just meant he was completely screwed over from then on. And it's Formula 1 at the end of the day. Sometimes you get screwed over from other people's errors. But it's just the fact that this kind of thing is allowed to happen constantly still. And we're talking every single race, aren't we?
Well,
someone will get
overtake.
damaged because they've tried to race cleanly and someone else takes it out.
Yeah, almost every overtake is as soon as you got ahead at the apex.
As soon as you are ahead slightly, you push the other guy off. And if you try and hang around the outside of someone, they push you off. You then cry to the FIA, and they're not consistent with whether you get penalised or not.
Exactly. So, frustrating one for the rules, but I think a younger driver who plays the rules more would have bailed out that bit earlier, I think.
Well, I think he did the right thing in kind of playing with the rules of, I'll just keep the momentum around the outside of it, make sure we're still wheel to wheel. And then Colapinto just lit up the rear wheels.
Yeah. And then
the other one I felt sorry for, of course, was Gasly. And then also a bit Liam Lawson.
What did you see the onboard of Lawson?
Yeah, the gearbox just completely seized on.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt bad because a lot of people were going, it's just a Liam Lawson being Liam Lawson. And you're actually
no, it wasn't at all.
Actually. Yeah,
it wasn't at all. Lawson had the worst place to have a technical failure when you up the inside for someone, and then you just can't stop the car because there's no engine braking and there's no gearbox anymore, and obviously kind of spun Gasly into the barrier. So
flipped him into the barrier.
Yeah, flipped him into the barrier, but no points for Gasly in the GP. But he has scored points in every other Grand Prix and sprint so far this season.
Well, he's scored points every weekend, hasn't he? Still, because he did get a point in the sprint.
Yeah, exactly. But the original topic of that part of the podcast was on Red Bull.
Yeah, we kind of went on a tangent there.
Yeah, I think I'm encouraged that Max was kind of trying again. I think that's my big takeaway.
Which is so ridiculous to say about a 4-time world champion that he just immediately isn't trying.
Well, you know what I mean. He was barely out qualifying Hadjar. He was he was clearly operating within himself at a couple of GPs, just clearly not interested in driving these cars. I think the regs have helped because there was a lot less super clipping going on, but Miami is going to always be a good track for
you basically got
recharge.
the entire end of Sector 2 to recharge, don't you?
Yeah. But I'm encouraged that Max was more positive. He seemed to want to be there, and that's good. And he was clearly trying very hard in the race because otherwise he wouldn't have just barged everyone off. So I'm hopeful. I think he'll win races this season now.
Okay.
After Japan, I was like, he's not going to get on the podium at all if it stays like this.
Oh, he's always going to get a podium. There'll be something somewhere.
Yeah, but he should have got one here, really. But,
yeah. Just don't exit the pit lane illegally.
Well, that wasn't the big problem, was it? Don't spin at turn 1.
Don't spin at turn 1. Don't exit the pit lane illegally. Don't try to barge everybody off the road. There was quite a few things there. I mean, obviously, we talked about McLaren and Ferrari. McLaren and Red Bull even taking a big step forward. That's given a bit of a spoiler. What on earth happened to Ferrari this weekend? Because it felt like everybody else took a bit of a step forward, and they kind of took half a step back.
I will maybe be unpopular for this, but I think the Ferrari car was probably still the third fastest after Mercedes ahead of Red Bull, I think.
Okay.
I think Max was just operating super well in qualifying especially. But Leclerc should have been on the front row. I mean, you could say that about 5 drivers, I think. But Leclerc
it was a weird qualifying session, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah, Leclerc's final lap in Q3 was dreadful compared to his previous. So he really should... And exactly the same with Suzuka as well, wasn't it, with Leclerc? He should have been right up there. He obviously led the race at the start. I don't think they were ever going to win in that Ferrari.
No.
But Hamilton was always a step back from Leclerc all weekend, like 2 or 3 tenths, which we saw a lot last season. And Leclerc's race was, again, quite error-strewn. And
it was a proper quintessential Charles Leclerc Grand Prix, wasn't it? He's got to do it at least kind of 2 or 3 times a year, where he just... In theory, everything should go all right, and then he just has a monumental error somewhere. Yeah,
it wasn't great at the very end. Because he was, again, trying a bit too hard to retain that podium finish from Piastri, wasn't he? And Piastri had already gone past. And then Leclerc was hugely overdriving to try and stay within the overtake mode and then have another go back into turn 9 like everyone does. And just spun. And he did this in quali in 24 in Miami.
We binned it in qualifying.
Yeah, binned it in quali in the same sector.
Oh no, but that was a different corner though.
It was a different corner, yeah. I just think the Ferrari wasn't that bad, and the drivers, certainly Leclerc and obviously Hamilton, was a bit hampered by this damage. But he never really looked at Leclerc's level with a healthy car. I think they could have done better had the drivers had cleaner weekends, and I don't think there's a massive crisis at Ferrari. Obviously, Leclerc still qualified 4th, which, you know, if a Ferrari's in the top 4, they're going to be leading into turn 1. So then yeah, just the rest of the race kind of unravelled. And they weren't going to win, but Leclerc definitely should have got 3rd. Or 4th.
He could. I think should have got 3rd is a bit unfair. I think could have got 3rd is probably fair. I think the other big thing as well, though, and I wonder if it's partly down to, obviously, it was a sprint weekend. They only got an hour and a half to set up the car. Is the Ferrari just a bit more tricky to try and get figured out, perhaps?
But in Shanghai, they're all right.
Has the McLaren just got a wide setup window? Do Mercedes just have a better car still? Is it just that Ferrari kind of took the setup the wrong way slightly as well?
Yeah, could well have been. And we'll find out more in Canada. But George Russell's off it as well at the moment. So
this was going to be the last point. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Jamie, I think by the end of the race, it was something mad, was 40 seconds clear of George Russell.
Yeah.
We spoke about it after the opening 3 Grand Prix. We said, Miami, George has got to come back this weekend, get the better of Kimi, and kind of get his championship challenge. He's not quite back on track, because it hasn't gone that badly so far. Antonelli this weekend just was better. And comfortably better.
Yeah, exactly. And Miami's a strong track for Antonelli, obviously. I don't think Russell's ever done particularly well there. I was a bit surprised that he's never qualified inside the top 5 in Miami, which is quite surprising. But yeah, Antonelli just had him at an arm's length. And George Russell, the pre-season favourite tag that he was living up to in Melbourne, has really just faded since then. And yes, he got unlucky in China Quali. He got unlucky in Suzuka with a few occasions. But here he was just worse. And
Well, I think the problem as well with it, of course, is every race he struggles early on this season, he's inviting Kimi in to build a lot more confidence. Let's not forget, Kimi Antonelli is in his second F1 campaign.
yeah,
And he's just won 3 Grand Prix in a row.
he hadn't won a race 2 months ago, and now he's won 3 in a row. And it was only Mika Hakkinen and Damon Hill, I want to say. Was it Hill or was it someone else? They kept on banging on about this stat of the drivers who got their first 3 wins in a row.
First 3 Grand Prix in a row, yeah.
Hakkinen was one of them.
Hakkinen, Hill, and Antonelli.
Yeah, just pretty good company. And drivers who got their first 3 poles in a row, I believe Senna was one of them.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other one.
Senna, obviously Kimi again, and it's going to really annoy me now, the third. I think it was Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, it could have been Villeneuve, yeah. So yeah, he's in great company, and he's doing very well. And George Russell needs some traditional circuits, because I do think he'll do better on the traditional circuit.
I'm going to say this right now, Jamie, because I was going to save it for the end of the episode. If Kimi Antonelli wins Canada and gets the better of George Russell again, and I'm talking a bit more like Miami than at Suzuka, where it's kind of like, George got a bit unlucky. If he outclasses George at Canada, I'm going to say it right now, youngest Formula 1 world champion of all time.
It could happen. I still think I'd back Russell, personally.
But this is my point. Canada has usually been one of George's best tracks on the calendar. If he can't get ahead of Kimi there, you're really starting to think, like, what is this beast you've got on the other side of the garage?
Yeah, exactly. I just can't get Antonelli's European season out of my head from last year.
Yeah,
and I'm like, we haven't started that yet.
No, that's also true. I think the big thing is, though, with Kimi, isn't it, we've said this many times before, and I know obviously you don't back Andrea Kimi Antonelli, or you're finally starting to. I've hyped him up since his F4 days. I've been there going, this kid's the real deal. He just is one of those rare talents, like a Max, like a Lewis, like a Michael, like an Ayrton, that is meant to be behind the wheel of a race car. He's not meant to do anything else. And that's a rare thing, even in Formula 1, to get someone that is just simply designed to be doing this.
Yeah, it's good for Italy. I'm happy for them, because it's been 70 odd years since they had an Italian world champion.
75 years since a world champion.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want your quiz real quick?
I'll have my quiz.
There's only 11 answers. I think you can get... in theory, you can get all of them.
Okay.
There'll be no time limit, but if you go wrong, it's done. There are 11 venues to have hosted a Grand Prix in America, in the United States. Heavens. You've got to name all of them.
So, obviously, Miami, Vegas, COTA.
Yes.
Indianapolis.
Yes.
Does Indianapolis count twice?
I've got Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that's it on this list.
Okay, you haven't got the Indy 500 on there as such. But
no.
Obviously,
well, it was Indianapolis Motor Speedway as well, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I actually don't have Vegas on this list. There's 12 because it's an old list.
So, obviously, Caesar's Palace as well.
Yes.
I guess that technically counts. I'm trying to do this methodically. I know Sebring hosted one.
Yes.
Because obviously it was the controversial poll out, which is one of the greatest wiki articles on F1 of all time. Watkins Glen, I'm pretty certain is hosted. Obviously you've got a load of the street circuits, but I want to save some of those if I can. Actually, no, you know what? We'll go. Are you keeping tabs of how many I've said?
Yeah. You've got 5 left.
So Dallas.
Yes.
Phoenix.
Yes.
Long Beach.
Yes.
2
left.
Yeah. Trying to. I feel like one of them's a. Riverside. I'm pretty certain hosted the Grand Prix.
I thought you weren't going to get that one.
Yep.
One more.
I'm trying to visualize the US.
I think you can get it.
I feel like I can get it as well. Because I would like to say for a European, my knowledge of American racing is fairly good.
Well, I thought you were going to get it when you're reading off all the street tracks. But
Yeah, it is a street circuit, isn't it?
yeah, from a similar era.
Yeah. Dallas, Phoenix.
Come on, Matt, you got this.
I know.
We might have to get the clock out here.
No, not yet. Not yet. I can get this. Dallas, Phoenix. There's one more in that group, isn't there? Of just awful. It's not Houston or anything like that.
No.
No.
Do you think the state would help you?
Possibly.
Well, it's in Michigan.
Oh,
I don't know if that'll help.
Annoying. Yeah. It's gonna really frustrate me because I know I should get this. Yeah, I know I should get this as well. Can you give me the first letter?
Begins with a D. And the circuit is just the name of the city.
Yeah. Not Dallas. I already said Dallas.
No, you said Dallas. Another one.
Yeah. City begins with a D.
Fun fact: my uncle used to live there. It's a bit of
I don't
Jamie
know your
103
uncle,
lore.
Jamie.
No, I don't know my uncle very well either. So it was
Dallas.
It was
Detroit, of course. I should have got that. Was that the one where they went over the train tracks?
I've no idea.
I think it was the one where they went over the train tracks.
idea.
Yeah, I should have got that.
We've got some stuff to reel off because
we do.
I need to start my day job in
Your
3 minutes. Predictions recap. You had a 5-point lead on me before this race, 13-8.
Yeah, neither of us did that well.
I said Russell.
There was 10 points available.
I said Russell sprint win.
0.
No points. You said Antonelli sprint win. No points. I said Antonelli pole. Thank you. 2 points. You said George Russell pole. No points.
Yeah.
I said Antonelli win, which takes me up to 4. You said George Russell win, which takes you on to 0.
Yeah.
I said Charles Leclerc second, which leaves me on 4. You said Antonelli second, 1 point. I said Russell third, no points. You said Piastri third, which scabs you a 2, which means overall it was 4-3.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I deserve more than that, but there you go.
JB, what's happened this year is we've just swapped, because that is exactly the kind of bogus 3 points you'd pull out on me with a huge lead.
It is true. Driver of the day? Or the weekend, I guess?
Probably Antonelli, I think, for me.
Antonelli did well, didn't he?
It's the first, as I said, it's the first real time that he's proven actually he can, even with a bit of pressure from somebody else.
I'm going to go against the grain.
Definitely here to fight.
And give it to Lando.
And of course, Jamie, we had the hilarious thing of obviously he wasn't allowed to have alcohol on the podium.
He did drink some though, or was it rose water?
He had rose water.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Because the
funny.
bottle was different. But yeah, too young to drink in the US.
I'll give it to Lando Norris because I think he was operating at the best level of anyone all weekend.
He looked to do better than Piastri, really, for the first proper time this season, didn't he? And that was important for Lando.
Melbourne was good because Piastri didn't it.
But with the number 1 on the car, he needed this.
Exactly.
Definitely needed
He looked
this.
like a world champion today. Not today, when the race happened.
Fair enough. Have you got anything else to add?
No, I think that's everything.
No.
We'll be back
wonderful.
next week.
Yes, obviously we've got another couple of break weeks now, so we're going to have to try and find stuff to talk about again. But of course, the world of Formula 1 is constantly evolving. Thank you all, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, drop us a follow, all that good stuff. And yeah, Jamie and I will be back next week then to talk about something with F1 right now.